Airtech Modsod here, and I'm back to talk about Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 10, and my thoughts on this other filler episode. Because that is all this was. This was just boring. It was pretty obvious what the storyline was going to be as soon as we found out about where we were going to be for this whole episode. You know, bad leader, obviously taking advantage of people. We knew what the ending was going to be before it happened. So this is pretty much the worst filler I've seen so far. I think even last week's filler episode wasn't as bad. But Bad Batch has a serious problem, and that is it doesn't have a direction. It doesn't. It should be focused on a story about the Bad Batch, but we seem to just be on this continuous merry-go-round of trying to fill time. Why are you making so many episodes if you don't know what you're doing with them? How the hell did this episode even get made? But luckily, Disney seems to be cutting funds now to projects because they can't afford to waste as much money anymore. So I don't know if the future of the Bad Batch is certain, because next week we're getting fucking Mandalorian. And how many views is that going to take from Bad Batch? I mean, Bad Batch is not getting that many views anyway, unfortunately. I don't think Bad Batch is a terrible show. I really don't. But the filler episodes outnumber the main episodes, which is ridiculous. Again, the Clone Wars did this better. You'd have an arc, one filler episode, then you go straight back to an arc. And that was what was good about fucking Clone Wars. They always kept to the main story. They didn't just waste episodes on filler. And that's the problem for the Bad Batch. But yeah, that's basically the problem for the Bad Batch. And the episode as a whole, it's a filler episode. You don't have to watch it. It adds nothing to the story. And if somebody's going to say it had character development, please. You can do character development in main stories. You don't have to just continuously fucking have filler episodes every 10. Oh, anyway. I'm sorry, it's just very disappointing. You know, I kind of thought they had have something in this episode, but there really wasn't anything. So yeah, what am I going to give this out of 10? I'm going to give it a 2. There was nothing good here. Sorry, nothing. So, 2 out of 10 from me. Not really worth the watch. Bad Batch has a problem. It needs to sort it out fast, and I doubt it's going to get a second or third season. So let's go to spoilers now. If you don't want to hear spoilers, leave in 3, 2, 1. So the episode starts off with us on the ship with the guy who stole it from the Bad Batch. The Marauder, that's what it's called. So we start on the Marauder with the guy who stole it. He lands in this factory place, and it turns out he works for a guy called Marco. And Marco is running this operation to mine... what's it called? Epson. And apparently he sends out all these workers to go find stuff or steal stuff so that they don't have to work in the mine. So they find something valuable out in the outskirts of the planet, then he gives them a reward. So the guy who stole the ship hands it over, gets it praise from Marco, and then we go back to the Bad Batch, who's still in the abandoned town, fixing a speeder bike. Oh, by the way, you know that they called Sid for help? She does not do a damn thing in this episode. They call her, and then she's just nowhere to be seen for this entire episode. So I don't know what she did to try to help them, but it seems like she just forgot about them. So what was the point of that entire message if you're just going to throw that storyline in the next episode? That's the big problem with the Bad Batch. They don't also seem to keep track of the story that they're telling, which is just, I'm sorry, this show is crap, isn't it? It really is. Anyway, so the Bad Batch try to fix the speeder, but Omega has the idea about trying to track down the Marauder by tracking the Gonk droid on their ship. And that plan works because apparently the droid has something on it that Omega can lock onto to find a location. So she finds the Gonk droid, realizes that the ship is still on the planet. The Bad Batch fix the speeder, head up to the mining facility, and then they have to find a way to, well, they need to find out where their ship is. We then find out about what this Marco person is about. Turns out he's just a dickhead of a leader who's taken over a what's they called? A trade it used to be a trade union place. So this was a separatist mining operation, and somehow he's taken over. He's got the droids on his side, and all he is just a bad boss who takes everything for himself and doesn't give that much to his workers. I don't know what they're trying to tell in this scene. Maybe it's about, you know, not democracy, capitalism, and trying to, maybe they're trying to say something about that. But anyway, so the Bad Batch find the guy who stole their ship, pretty much force him to tell them where he's taken it. He tells them where it is. They find out that he'd also take out a shield over the mining place so they can get away with the Marauder. But they need to also find a way into the base. So they decide to go down this chimney thing. And turns out going down that chimney thing is pretty dangerous because it throws up a massive heat. This big smoke that's very dangerous to get touched by, basically. But Hunter goes down there first, try to turn it off. But when he gets down there, a droid interrupts him. Then Hunter's stuck there and he needs to get out of there fast before the heat blows out of the tube again. So Hunter jumps down, destroys the robot, and turns off the heat thing, whatever. The Bad Batch again get into the base. They find the Marauder. The Marauder has had parts taken out of it, especially its hyperdrive. And Tech and Wrecker start fixing the Marauder. And Hunter sends Omega and the guy who stole the ship to turn off the shield so that they can escape with the ship. So Omega goes with the guy to the mess bay, I think, because they don't want to go directly to the shield generator because that will look suspicious, apparently. And Omega then sees the leader of the base, Marco. He shows the reward that he gives to the best, the best stealer or something. And it turns out it's just food, basically, that he doesn't have to share with the others. And the guy also gives the others a bowl of soup, but he tells them all they have to share it, which was kind of a bit ridiculous, but fair enough. And again, they got to show you how much of a dick this guy is. But Omega and the guy who stole the ship head to the shield generator place. Omega then tries to turn off the shield, figures out that the guy in charge of the base is pretty much screwing over all his workers and keeping most of the profits for himself. And then it turns out the guy who stole the ship betrayed her and told Marco that she was in the base, and then immediately regrets it when Omega tells him the truth about the place and the fact the place is making a lot of money and he's just screwing them over. And then we just get this scene where the Bad Batch get threatened by Marco to drop their weapons, or he's going to throw Omega down into the lava or whatever. to die. But Hunter's down at the bottom, uses a cable to get up to Omega, saves Omega. They destroy all the the Bad Batch destroy the droids, and the guy who stole the ship tells every one of Marco's workers that he's been screwing them over, and then everybody turns against the guy, and then that guy gets killed. The end. And the place gets taken over by the workers, and they plan to make this place a better place for workers, blah 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 blah. The Bad Batch have helped this group of people, and Omega has this kind of sad moment where she says, there's so many bad people in the galaxy. But Tech tells her, yes, there's bad people in the galaxy, but there's also good people in the galaxy, so it kind of evens out. And that's how the episode ends. Not really much for this episode. It's pretty much the worst filler episode of the season. Well, actually, no, there was that stupid robot episode, wasn't there? That big, massive robot that was pointless. But yeah, there's not really much here. I don't think this show has got that long left. It's definitely not got the same love as the Clone Wars got, because the Clone Wars was actually good. And if this does get a season 3, I'd be massively surprised, especially with the fact that Disney is trying to tighten the purse strings of the company because they're not making that much money. And that's the end of my review. If you like this review, give it a like. If you dislike this review, give it a dislike. And if you like my content, do think about subscribing. I will be doing my video for Picard tomorrow, but it's going to be later because I have to work. So, just a heads up. Entertainment Soldier. Bye.